Data protection and privacy teams are under more pressure than ever with new laws, AI oversight, data breaches, and the constant expectation to do more with fewer resources.
That's why TrustArc built a modern privacy and data protection management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. It unifies your tools, automates the work that slows you down, and surfaces what matters most right when you need it.
From guided quick actions to our intelligent assistant, Ask Arc, you get credible, contextual answers backed by expert research, not generic AI guesses.
Finally, privacy that works the way privacy pros work.
Learn how TrustArc helps teams move faster with confidence at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.
This is Serious Privacy by TrustArc. Here are your hosts, Paul Breitbart and Kay Royal.
I think it would be fair to say that our guest today is the mother of the Privacy Podcast. Angelique Carson was the original host of the IAPP Privacy Advisor podcast, for many years a weekly staple for many privacy professionals. But Angelique was not just the voice of the Privacy Advisor, she also was the pen, since most of her work actually involved writing about privacy. After the IAPP, she did so for a number of years at Osano, and since the start of this year, she is the Director of Content Strategy at TerraTrue, still based out of Washington, D.C. We are very happy that Angelique joins us today to talk about privacy careers, podcasting, U.S. legislative developments, the prospects of an impenetrable transatlantic data protection sustainability framework thingy, and many more things.
Love it.
My name is Paul Breitbart.
And I'm Kay Royal, and welcome to Serious Privacy. So y'all know what I'm going to say next. I just love that we have Angelique on the podcast today. I just love it. Which, by the way, one of the stickers was going to be write your favorite quote from Kay and Paul.
Oh,
I was just going to write, I love it, across the middle. But
And yes, there will really be stickers. Go
There
find
will
Kay
really
at
be
IAPP.
stickers.
listen, people love stickers so hard. Like when we do stickers at the IVP, they go like wildfire. I mean, people just,
they do. They do.
Yeah.
Well, here's one of the stickers. Are you ready for the unexpected question?
wait, what? That's a sticker?
That's a sticker
It is a
in the
sticker,
question.
but it's also a question to you.
Oh, okay. Both. Okay. Yes. All right. I need to drink more coffee. I'm ready.
What is the most honest thing you've said today?
Oh my gosh.
See, no one's ever ready for the unexpected question.
Well, also I work from home by myself, so I haven't said that much yet, but I
Echo that.
I would have to say, so my girlfriend got stuck in Puerto Rico. She was there vacationing for a whole week and she was supposed to fly home Sunday and her flight got canceled until Tuesday. And so I had to swoop in and take her puppy from her parents who were dog sitting. And she texted me today and said, "How is little Otis doing?" And I said, "He's doing great." And that was the truth.
There you go. Paul, what about
Not
you?
cooler than that.
You've had a little bit longer than Angelique, to be honest, today.
That's true, but also I didn't speak to too many people today because I've mainly been preparing for a meeting next week and preparing lots of difficult slides.
Are y'all telling me that you're not the people that have the monologue running in your heads?
Yeah, but I mean, being honest to myself is nothing special. So I think being honest on social media would count though. So I called out the EU member states once again on data retention because there was a ruling of the Court of Justice this morning for the gazillionth time saying that indiscriminate data retention is not allowed under EU law. I think this is maybe the 7th or the 8th time in as many years that the court has said that. And still the EU member states will not accept that they cannot hold telecommunications data indefinitely or in bulk for counterterrorism and serious crime purposes.
Wow. That's pretty honest.
It always comes down to the counterterrorism purposes. It's that whole
Right?
it's that whole like
Always the same.
9/11, we must sacrifice to save. You
Yeah,
know.
it's the dog ate my homework reason, right? It's yeah. So the most honest thing I've said, because I'm on Pacific time, so it's not really early in my morning, but y'all know I'm not a morning person, was when Paul and Angelique were talking about, having something to drink nearby for the podcast. And they were talking about wine and all. And I'm like, well, and y'all don't know what's in my water bottle or in my bottle. So that's the most honest thing I've said today is y'all have no idea what's in this bottle.
And are you going to, at some point in the show, is there an unveil of what's actually, or we're just going to see you?
We'll just see how much giggly I get when I'm done.
Exactly. All right. I got it. I'm with you.
And I am still recovering. I did go back and listen to the podcast from when my voice was horrible and going, that doesn't even sound like me. So I'm almost fully recovered. So I'm almost back to normal. So I love it. So Angelique, I have to say, you came on the screen when we started the recording. I was like, oh my God, there's my Angelique's face. And Paul was like, there's her voice. And we're all excited. What's going on with Angelique nowadays?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I'm so excited to see your faces too. It's been too long since we've been able to chat. And also, thanks so much for having me on. And that intro, Paul, was very professional. It was like very newscaster. I also appreciated being called the mother of the Privacy Podcast. I am doing wonderful. I just took a new job that I'm super excited about. I feel like at this point in my career, I have a very specific idea of what type of work environment I need and what type of mentorship I need and like how I'm going to get to the next sort of level in my own sort of ladder or chart that I have in my head of where I want to go. So things are amazing. I'm living that startup life, which is from the not-for-profit life. I had to acclimate. I spent about a year and a half at Osano before TerraTrue. And so I got some experience in how startups move and work and feel. But, I'm only less than 2 years in total. And I'm still on that learning curve a little bit. It's fast-paced and exciting, but it's also just like, when you love your teammates and you're doing something difficult, there's that built-in camaraderie where you're not doing the work because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't do it. You just want to impress your teammates, and be like, hey, like, I pulled out this blog post, let's use it. Or, how can I help you get this, Privacy Shield happy hour done? And so that feels really nice. And I just feel very supported and excited about trying to build this company with these people.
Yeah, I can understand that. I am definitely on the startup train.
Yeah.
And I have to admit,
we all are now.
We all are now. And I think I pretty much always have been. Whenever I've worked for a big company, I've never a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape. Now, there are big companies that don't act like that. But the big companies that aren't like that I would enjoy working for, look at me and go, okay, but you have no experience with Fortune 1000 companies.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, aside from the fact that I helped your privacy team grow and set up your entire program. And no, I have no experience actually working inside them. So I never, ever, ever get pinged for those jobs because apparently I just don't have the experience. And I'm mostly okay with that. I'm at a point in my life where it's more about quality of life and enjoying what you do than it is about that drive and that need and that ambition. No, it's not. It's still about the drive and the need.
I was just going to say, are you starting to become more European, Kate?
No. I keep thinking my life would be a lot less stressful if I quit driving for those top positions. My ultimate goal is to be a full-time professor. I make no bones about that. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to just slow down and just enjoy.
Oh, I think full-time professor would be a dream. I can't.
Oh my God, right?
Oh, I was just having a conversation with, actually, you guys know Sam Feifel. He now is running his own.
Hey.
He's now running his own freelance gig. He's West Gray Creative as his company. But anyway,
nice.
We were just talking last night about just philosophy, and his daughter is going to major. She's going to get her PhD in philosophy. She's a very smart girl.
Wow.
And I was saying, like, I really just miss being in the classroom setting and having these very philosophical discussions about topics. Like, you don't just get to think like that anymore in a collaborative space. It's just, we have so much to do that, and there's just not, it's just not put in front of us. Something about that magic of like having to go to the class and sort of dreading it, but then getting there and just feeling so lit up by that. Getting to hear from people who think differently from you and have different backgrounds, but you're all talking about the same thing is just, I miss it so much. I can see you teaching.
And I do teach at my law school every spring. I'm supposed to be recording an online course on privacy for them. But I want retirement.
Yeah, I feel it. I do too. But I've got a lot of ways, unfortunately. The years are going by slowly and quickly at the same time.
I feel like I reached old really quick.
Not at all.
Time surely flies. That is absolutely true. I I mean, I very vividly remember that very first day walking in Toronto to the Nimity office almost 6 years ago. And well, that's 6 years ago and it feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
And so much has happened since.
But I think, speaking of startups, it's cool. I mean, I never saw this as a path. I never knew what I was going to do. I just wanted to write. And then I turned out I started writing about privacy. But startups, they have this real need right now because privacy, software as a service in particular, but privacy-based startups, they're really needed in the world right now because we're having all these privacy problems and we need solutions. And it's cool that there's sort of a place for us to land as experienced privacy pros where they're like, listen, we want to be nimble. We want to be fast. We need in-house expertise and we need, quality work. Can you do it? And I really feel like both myself and a lot of my friends are getting, attractive offers from startups who value our time in privacy so far and that we got in kind of early. I didn't expect it to be sort of a skill set of mine that I could offer privacy expertise. It's just sort of the way it ended up. But, there's
it was never a thing when we were in college.
No, not at all.
No. But is it still your main topic that you write upon, that you develop content for, privacy and data protection and cybersecurity and all of those fun topics?
Yeah, for sure. So at Osano, I was doing a newsletter weekly where I would summarize the news and then do sort of a blog post on top, trying to give my take, give it some personality and just have fun with it. At TerraTrue, I've only been here for about a month and a half. And so I'm just about today, actually, I'm so nervous. I'm giving my pitch to my COO and our head of marketing and brand, the first pitch I've ever given. And I don't know how to use PowerPoint. So I had to recruit a friend last night to come over and build a deck for me. It was very embarrassing and humbling.
You'll do fine. You'll do fine. And I know that experience. I just did it 6 weeks ago myself for the first time. So you'll survive.
Yeah. But yeah, my focus is definitely still privacy data protection. At TerraTrue, we really want to walk the walk. And we do, what's cool about TerraTrue is that the co-founders he was formerly the general counsel at Snap, just after it had entered a consent decree with the FTC, Snap, which later became Snapchat. And the CISO there is basically our CISO now. And so in that sense, we have that sort of built in, which I think is cool. But in terms of moving forward, we really want to be producing privacy and data protection content that, helps people do their jobs better. So similar to sort of what my background is and making sure that we're covering, the big topics and helping people distill really complicated, sometimes nuanced legal issues like, Schrems 2, Schrems 3, you pick, all those sorts of things.
I was talking to someone the other day, I was explaining a piece of GDPR. And I said, well, let me send you the link to my favorite GDPR site, which is, the European GDPR site. Right. And she's like, oh, great. I hope it's in simple language that people can understand. I'm like, well, of course it is. I mean, it's the actual law.
Right.
And she was like, which makes it simple. I said, GDPR is not that complex. It's pretty straightforward. The nuances maybe, but the actual language isn't that hard to misunderstand.
If you compare it to the way that U.S. legislation is generally phrased, I think you are right. If you are familiar with most European styles of legislation, the GDPR is very complex.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm not super into reading the GDPR for fun. I usually just go to my friendly experts, what's this part about, and then go from there. But that's just because I hate.
Does that mean I'm a geek or a nerd?
You knew that.
Dork?
That's fine.
What else is new?
Yeah, exactly. But I do find myself saying that, and then I sent someone else a copy of the Colorado Privacy Act, and they're like, it's easy to read, right? And I'm like, y'all need to quit asking me that. This is the law. I find it easy to read. I love it. It's like a mystery. You're trying to solve it and decrypt the clues in it from the definitions. And yeah, it's the law. Shut up.
But Kay, if people want something easy to read, why not just send them your analysis of the Colorado law, which is easy to read, or Angelique's translation of the Utah law? I'm not sure that exists yet, but
it's been written. I don't know why it's not posted, but it's been written. It's there. And then I realized we never actually wrote one up for Virginia. I was like, how come I just ignored Virginia? Oh, that's right. My dad died in 2020. 20. And
Sorry.
he lived in Virginia. So I probably was just ignoring Virginia completely.
Yeah. You're like, I don't need that kind of trauma.
I don't need Virginia. So I'm just ignoring it.
Let's move on to Utah. You're good.
Yeah, exactly. And then who do y'all think is going to be the next state up? Guesses?
Guesses are always wrong, man. Like these states just keep sneaking up out of nowhere.
I didn't expect Utah to be the next one.
It certainly won't be Washington State. That's one thing I'm willing to bet on.
Yeah.
Ohio, Oklahoma, Florida, Arizona's, I think, is dead.
Is it
already?
I'm going to say Alaska just for the fun of it.
Just for kicks and giggles?
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I don't know. I've stopped guessing because I'm always wrong. Although I did wager that we are going to see 4 to 5 states pass this year. And people were saying that was a little bit optimistic if you're someone who wants to see laws passed. But we were already at 3 now. Wait, 3 this year. So I may have undershot a little. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens heading into the second half of the year. But I mean, I do think
I haven't been right in any of my predictions yet. So
yeah. I think I bet some booze on it. So really hoping to win. I think Tim Scarapani apparently is making booze now. And I was like, if I win, I want some of that.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, I think, now there's sort of a roadmap. So it's not so, when Washington was trying to do it and back when California did it, certainly there wasn't as much of a roadmap. And now you can kind of see ahead where the pitfalls, there's going to be a problem with any private right of action that's introduced, and, whether federal law should supplant it, if a federal law should get passed. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit easier now because you can almost see the legislative sessions happening, and it sort of depends on which members of which legislative body are bringing the bills in terms of how willing they are to push for it and how savvy they are on privacy to educate their peers. But I think it's going to get easier from here,
I think it's going to have to. I mean, I'm still laughing at some of the nuanced differences that we see between the laws, such as almost all of them are defining data from a known child as sensitive data. And then Utah comes along and doesn't.
Interesting.
And then Utah adds in the whole cure period, which I find fascinating. It's not just a cure period. The company with the violation has to submit a letter to the Attorney General certifying that the violation has been cured and that it will not happen again.
Interesting.
And what companies are going to want to put that in writing, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully. I do solemnly swear I will never make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe not.
Yeah. Kind of like the Harry Potter Marauders map, exactly.
Right. I mean, I guess it bodes well for privacy pros getting hired. You better staff up if you're going to make that kind of promise,
I keep hearing that. And this is one of the things we talked about with Chris and Hillary. Job security isn't really a thing. We'll always have a job. But are you finding, and we were just talking about your job search with startups and everything. I think it's interesting that we're finding that a lot of companies say they want experienced privacy people, but they're not hiring experienced privacy people. They're hiring people with a few years of experience that have taken the courses and passed the test, but they don't actually have the hands-on, let's manage a privacy program or think about data strategy or help the company be innovative with the data that they have. And I find that to be depressing.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's just a cost savings thing? They're hoping they can get relatively the same type of talent, but it's not as expensive?
Maybe. I don't know. It's
to be honest,
frustrating.
I had heard, I've been a little bit out of the loop recently because of all of this change going on in my life. I also just changed homes, apartments. So I've been drowning in change. But the thing that I often get from people is from the newer folks who are like, they want me to have all of this experience in privacy to take this job, and I'm trying to get my foot in the door and I can't get hired. Like, that's something that I was hearing a lot. So maybe that trend is reversing now that there's, I don't know.
Maybe it's on both sides of the fence. As Kirk was saying, when, he and I came up through privacy, you learned one thing at a time.
Right.
Now, everyone that's learning privacy has to learn it all at the same time. And that's a little harder. That's a lot harder. Let's be fair.
Especially if you're working for a multinational company, even if it is not a global company, but you need to be able to deal with multiple data protection laws at the same time, whether it is in the GDPR and CCPA, or maybe people thrown into the mix, or Brazil or South Africa, it's 125 countries now that have data protection laws, 135. It's massive. So even if your company is only active in 10 or 12, including some non-European ones, you're dealing with a large volume of legislation that you'll have to comply with at the same time.
Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's the fact that nobody knows what the privacy profession is supposed to look like and what the skills are and what kind of level of experience. Yeah.
You need both a legal and a technical understanding. You need to know everything about the whole of the world, and not just data protection laws, but also tech laws and other fundamental rights. And
you need to have practical common sense.
That's a big one. Yeah, that's a big one. I don't know. I feel like maybe we need some better funnels. I'm always so pleased to watch some of my buddies that do fellowships at the Future of Privacy Forum or a Weston Fellowship at the IAPP. If you can get that type of gig, you have this amazing funnel, this pipeline, because you're in with all the right people, you're at the right conferences, you're publishing on the right sites. But, there's only so many of those gigs to go around. It would be great if we could figure out a way for either mentorship or apprenticeships or, I don't know, for people to get some of that practical experience before they try and get those big name jobs. But I don't know, we're a burgeoning profession, so we may need to look
We really are.
Yeah.
We really are. And I was just talking to someone else who was interviewing for a fantastic privacy job opportunity. And he's like, but I don't have this, and I don't have this, and I don't have this. And I'm like, yeah, but don't undersell what you do have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's certainly true.
Yeah. Well, I think we all have imposter syndrome. There's no doubt about it. I don't know of anyone successful. Okay, I've heard of a few people successful that don't have imposter syndrome. But most of us, don't undervalue what you do have. So I don't know which side of the fence I sit on here. Maybe I'm not even on the fence. Maybe there's no fence.
There's not even a fence. It's just you in the middle of a field.
Me in the middle of a field going, I don't know what direction to go. Someone show me the sun rising.
Exactly.
Well, I must say, when I left the Dutch DPA and started in the private sector, that was a big change. And actually,
I can imagine that one.
A lot of the conversations you had with people from the private sector on the Privacy Advisor podcast were really helpful for me to gain lots of insights about what was happening in this community.
Oh, that's great to hear. I love that. That's what I really miss about doing the podcast, is that I really do hear from people quite a bit. And they're like, hey, we missed this. And, I really learned a lot from this episode. They remember episodes that they learned a lot from. And they're like, this really helped me at my job. You don't really realize, I'm sure you guys experience this too, and you know what I'm saying. You don't really realize when you put something out, you don't know whose earlobes it's going into and who needs what at any given time. You try and serve your loyal listeners the best you can. But whenever someone comes up to me, if I run into them at an IAPP conference or wherever, and they say something nice like that, I'm like, wow, it's really cool that there is some information transmission happening. I just like to talk to people, and I hope I'm bringing some value to people who are using it for to do their jobs better. So my thing is did we have a great conversation? Yes. Was that fun? But to have a little bit of impact on folks who are really trying to get ahead and really trying to grasp what's going on in this entire industry, which is very complex, is meaningful. So I do miss that a little bit.
Why did you ever start with a podcast?
Oh my gosh. So again, Sam Feifel, that little rascal, he was my boss at the IAPP. And he said to me in 2016, hey, we should put a podcast out there, the thing now. And I didn't even listen to podcasts at that time. I knew that they were kind of out there, but I don't know. I just always listened to Spotify, my music, or, whatever. And I started investigating podcasts and just listening to them to do, due diligence. And I was like, oh, I love this medium. It's so personal. It feels like there's always sort of a net to catch. I leave my house and I'm worried about something, or I have a long walk somewhere, living in DC. And it's like knowing that you have this show in your back pocket that brings you some sort of comfort or knowledge or lights you up in some way just felt like such a cool tool to have. So, I launched it without knowing what I was doing at all. And I remember my very first podcast was with Omer Tene, who was then VP at the IAPP. And I brought him down into this little meeting room we have, and I put a microphone in between the two of us, and I just asked him the most random stuff. At one point I was asking him he liked the neighborhood he lived in. And I remember Sam editing it afterward and being like, yeah, we don't need that. Cut that. So I really didn't know what I was doing. And I just thought, my theory was everyone has a story. And so I'll just wing it. And that kind of evolved over time, because what I realized is that not everyone is great at telling that story. And sometimes you can pull it out of them if you're very good. And other times you need to have more of a game plan. And so I sort of evolved the show over time to be more subject oriented. So we were going to talk about sort of a specific thing. And then I could kind of gear my questions toward where I knew the guests would shine.
And I think I was like number 4,
very early. Yeah.
Number 3, number 5, something like guests that you have. Yeah, I remember sitting at my desk at Concentra. Sitting at my desk at Concentra. I remember actually having the conversation with you.
Well, yeah, because in the early days, I was like, okay, who can I get to who will really talk? Because the worst thing is if you get someone on.
Who will talk? Kaya talk.
The worst thing is like, if you're like, so how do you feel about the way your life's going? They're like, pretty good. You know, like we
had those too.
That's a killer. So I actually started vetting guests. I did it through like,
we did too.
Yeah. I would have a pre-call. And if it didn't work, I would have to come up with another solution to like, make sure that they felt important and I use them maybe as a source for a story instead. But you can't disappoint your loyal listeners with a total dud of...
Okay, loyal listeners, y'all aren't allowed to comment in on which ones were the boring ones for y'all. We can tell by the numbers. It's okay. But, oh my gosh, there's been a couple of times Paul and I have literally texted each other going, oh my goodness, this is boring.
Yeah.
And even after vetting people, that sometimes happens. It's not always avoidable, but
yeah, you do the best you can.
And some people do pretty good in some mediums, like speaking on a webinar or speaking in front of a large audience, a live audience, and then you get them on a podcast and they can't do it.
Yeah, and especially if they don't listen to podcasts. I mean, the best podcasts, right, are the most conversational and comfortable. I mean, at least that's the style I like. I like to feel like I'm listening to a couple of friends talk. And like I'm
on the back porch.
Friendship. Yeah.
Kitchen table.
Preferred spaces. So yeah, I think some people, if you don't have a lot of experience even listening to podcasts, or if you're the type of speaker who likes to prepare a lot, you have a harder time doing the easy breezy, like just go with it type of format.
We do have people that's what they need. They need to print everything out and know exactly their talking points page by page by page. And they can't do the spontaneity.
Yeah.
And that has nothing against them as a speaker, certainly doesn't have anything against them as a knowledgeable person in their field, whatever field we were interviewing them about. Doesn't work well for podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just kind of learn. And you sometimes get a sense, I think, over time after doing it for a while, like who's going to work and who isn't, just based on initial conversations. And then, sometimes you get a little surprised and you're like, I didn't think this was going to suck, but it does.
or you get surprised the other direction is, wow, I didn't know this was going to go so well. That's hilarious. There was a cybersecurity guy, the author. Oh, you'll have to remember who it was. Dr.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think of his name. Cybersecurity guy. We knew he was going to be interesting. Eric Cole, from his knowledge, we knew he was going to be interesting. Got on the podcast and I swear I lost breath multiple times because we were just laughing the whole way through. It was like, oh my God,
that's so
hilarious. He's awesome. I will never forget him. We'll probably need to have him back on. There's been some other developments in cybersecurity. We should have him back on. But just, sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. So what was not just on the podcast, overall in your career with IAPP, with the others, what has been a standout moment in privacy for you?
Well, I am a real big fangirl of Rohit Chopra, former FTC commissioner, now at the CFPB.
Yep, met him. He's fantastic.
He says it like it is. He fights for the little. I grew up in like a real blue collar type of atmosphere, and I just grew up feeling like we were the little guys and we were up against the big guys of the world. And so I love when people are voicing that voice to the Senate, to Congress, when he's testifying about privacy, data protection, consumer affairs matters. He agreed early on, after he got appointed to to be an FTC commissioner, he agreed to do one of his very first appearances, do a live version of the podcast at PSR I want to say we were in Austin then, or San Jose, maybe.
I think it was Austin.
Was it Austin?
I'm thinking it was Austin.
Yeah. And so having him on stage, I mean, first of all, I get real scared doing live podcasts. And we tried doing it at the conferences, and sometimes it attracted and sometimes it didn't, because people knew they could listen after if they wanted. But I get real nervous. And that was a full house for that one, because he was a big name and he was just coming in as commissioner, and everyone was like, what's your priority? What do you care about? What are we going to get nailed for at our company? And so that was a big, cool moment for me. And I really appreciated him, coming on stage with me and lending me that time and being, giving me sort of a moment to get some headlines out of it,
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
So when will we see you back in this space?
Well, I can't show all my cards yet. I plead the fifth on that. But I will say that I'm gearing up to get back into content producing mode. So I've been out of the game for a minute, because I've just been doing a lot of like coming in, synthesizing what's going on at, first at the last company, now at TerraTrue, and then developing kind of a plan for us. And now that I've developed my plan, I'm ready to start writing and interviewing again. So I'm really excited I just feel like I haven't been able to talk to people enough, like our people, And part of that's COVID. Normally I plan a whole bunch of events throughout the year, so I'd kind of get my fill. But I did go to San Diego for PSR, and I will be at, of course, the summit next week.
I'll be there.
Will you? Yay! So fun. Yeah. So yes, you.
I haven't read the COVID requirements they have yet. Which San Diego, I stopped by unexpectedly. And I didn't read their requirements because I had no idea if I was going to be there or not. I was going to be in San Diego at the same time. No idea if I was going to go by. I did. They needed vaccination cards. I couldn't find my vaccination card. So then they wanted you to take a live test if you still wanted to go in. And the test was, apparently you were supposed to open the box while you were on a video call with the people of the test. So they see you open the box and do the swab and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do this standing out in public. So I went in the women's restroom, and I had a nice little sitting area. Went over there and I couldn't get the video to connect. I'm like, y'all are full of it.
Oh.
I had a cold at the time, but I wasn't worried that it was COVID. But I, sitting there sniffling and sneezing probably didn't help anyone want to do a live test for me on COVID. But I couldn't get the video to connect in the restroom. I didn't want to do it out in public on the patio or something. I was like, this is stupid. So I just threw it in the garbage and sat at Starbucks and waited on everybody to come to me.
Oh. Well, there you go. Just kind of pulled like a seagull move and hovered nearby waiting for that.
Exactly. And saw so many wonderful people. Saw a person that I had interviewed with for a job. I won't disclose who the person is, but saw the person and said hello to the person. And they were like, hey, Kay.
Why?
Because they never got back to me and told me I wasn't proceeding with the job. They just completely ghosted me after.
Well, that's why you don't do that, man. The privacy world is so small. You're going to run into each other everywhere.
But it is a small world.
Yeah, it's a very small world.
It is.
Well,
so I won't be on DC, unfortunately. I can't justify yet to make it across the pond, since we have no establishment in the U.S. We have no business in the U.S. So
make some business in the U.S.
Well, hopefully. And otherwise, I need to find an excuse next year for somebody to put me on the panel at least, and then I can come over. But
yeah, and I got to find an excuse for someone to send me to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I can be with my Paul. Do you know Paul and I have only actually met in person once?
No way.
Yeah,
45 minutes.
Wow.
And we were in a meeting for 45 minutes. We didn't actually sit and talk to each other for 45 minutes. Was literally in passing. I was like, I like that little short, funny guy.
He's a good one.
Yes.
So, Angelique, what are your thoughts on the transatlantic thingy? That's what we baptized it in last week's episode. The impenetrable sustainability framework thingy.
I'm down with thingy. Yeah, that works. I don't know what to think. I just don't understand why we keep doing it, because we're not going to change the surveillance laws in the US probably ever. But
we might actually come up with a federal law that might preempt the surveillance laws on some respects.
Listen, I don't know. I don't pretend to know anything about working in federal security and in, the NSA or the FBI or any of those places. But I know that when I went to hearings on the matter shortly after, it would have been after the Snowden revelations, but for some reason we were having a new slew of Section 702 hearings about, what the US should be able to scoop up in terms of data. And those law enforcement reps, they weren't, I don't see them coming around anytime soon and being like, all right, you know what? Because first of all, there were so many things that they couldn't talk about in that hearing. And there was a classified hearing that followed. And so I'm sure they disclosed much more to the lawmakers, but I see law enforcement fighting tooth and nail in the name of counterterrorism. And I'm not saying that that's a bad, I appreciate those who protect us and do that scary hard work. But I'm just saying when it comes down to it, I don't see us acquiescing to the way that EU would like us to in sum total. And yes,
Right.
I think it's great that this new agreement has these redress mechanisms and this proportionality aspect to it that makes it feel more like Europe's law. I have to imagine that Schrems is sitting with a fork and knife, at a table right now, ready to just carve Privacy Shield 3 right up, and we can do Schrems 3. I think they should just get Schrems in the room and be like, what would you take? Like, what deal would you take that we can just keep this going? Because it's hard for these companies who are just trying to, I feel bad. As much as I'm the little guy, I also feel, and I appreciate the activism Schrems does, I also feel for these companies who every year or two are having to freak out over whether the way that they transfer data from the EU to the US is no longer going to be a valid way to do it. So I don't know. I appreciate these Band-Aids. And I think, people are I think Caitlin Fennessy at the IAPP, she worked at Commerce and I trust her opinions. I think she's feeling pretty good about this and she sort of understands the relationships better than I do. But I just feel like on the US side, we're always very optimistic and we're always like, this is going to work out. We got this. And even when I have private conversations with people who are inside these negotiations, and obviously they're not disclosing things they can't, but the vibe seems to be we're getting there. And then on the EU side, it sort of always feels like a little bit of a different story. So I think maybe it's just the sound bites are different from what's happening inside closed doors. But I just feel like we're still in trouble with this whole this whole thingy.
Yeah. Well, I'm as I said in last week's episode, I'm hopeful, but I'm not as confident as Kay is or Chris and Hillary were when we discussed it last. But also, to be fair, all the hoops that we are asking the US to jump through, many of the European member states should jump through them too, and also they don't. The only thing is the European Union can't touch them. The Council of Europe can, but then we first have to wait for the Council of Europe to actually make some work out of it. Then we first need to ratify Convention 108+.
So
by the way,
figure.
speaking about the Council of Europe, did you see that we have another set of draft SECs on the table?
No, I missed them. I woke up and jumped on a podcast.
Well, this is thanks to Luis Alberto Montezuma from Colombia, but we actually have Council of Europe SECs now as well under Convention 108+. They're still in draft, but they will be published.
Can we give Lewis a shout out? That guy.
Oh, absolutely.
That guy just never stops. He's just, he retweets me before I even get done tweeting it, which I appreciate. He's on it. He's I feel like he's really dedicated his life to serving the privacy Twitter. He's just all over it, shout out.
And he seems to be active 24/7.
24/7. And he's also a sweetie. He brought me some handmade bags to the last PSR summit from his home country, which were beautiful.
He's just awesome.
Shout out to him. He is.
So, Kay, that is your mission for next week. Find Louis and interview him.
Okay.
He's
Luis, if you're out there, you got to find me. I'm not going to be hard to miss. I promise. I'll probably be the one walking around with a microphone.
Yeah. And the accent. There's not a lot of accents like you walking around Summit.
Probably wearing bright searing colors too, and laughing.
And handing out serious privacy stickers in pink and blue.
Exactly. I've had people reserving the ones that they like.
That's cute.
And by the way, I'm only printing 100 of each.
Oh,
so
they're gonna go quick.
We'll see. I have to admit, no one has yet claimed the one that I thought was the funniest.
What's that?
I thought Paul rocks and K rolls her eyes was the funniest.
Well, they probably after they hear your sniffles, they'll probably speak up. They wanted to say something.
No, the favorites. Well, I would say the favorites so far, but they haven't been. They've been pretty equally split between why so serious privacy with the Joker to the are you ready for the unexpected question to the good to the last mic drop.
Nice. Love it. Very cool.
We'll put some pictures in the chat somehow or in the show notes.
Yeah. I can show pictures. I won't. I might.
What's going on with you two? Like, what are you spending time on these days when it comes to privacy? What's your biggest headache?
My biggest headache right now is the risk appetite assessment that I'm preparing for my management team.
Oh, fun.
I'm rebuilding a privacy program at Katawiki, which is a Dutch online auction site for special objects. So anything that you want to have but don't necessarily need, which is fun. There is a lot of things that you really want to have if you look at the website. And I'm rebuilding the privacy program. And before I can draft all the policies, I need to understand what leadership is willing to accept and what they are not. And how far they want to go. So I've been designing strategies and scenarios for them to pick from and to agree with or to disagree with, to have a discussion in the course of next week.
Well, that sounds fun. That's a little philosophical. I dig it.
It is. And at the same time, it's very operational because I need to think 3 steps ahead. It's a bit like playing chess with my management team on strategy. But it's fun. It's a very good exercise to do. It will actually give me a lot of input for the rest of the year, also to steer the business towards the right things.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I am working on the privacy notices.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, we had outside counsel redo them before I came on board. So I'm looking at them and looking at rolling them out. So, and I'm trying to find a way to make them
readable.
Well, not just readable. That's one thing about lawyers and privacy notices. They're very rarely ever readable. So I like things to be readable. But as I was talking to our team responsible for getting them loaded on the website, it's a case of, and trust me, they can be fun. I'm okay if you want to put icons or drawings or record a video and explain the podcast, explain the podcast. Yeah. Explain the notice to people. I'm okay with fun.
You should, that would be amazing. Like you should start that trend. I would totally prefer icons over any other notice I've ever looked at.
Oh, absolutely. Something that says, this is what we do. This is what we don't do.
Yeah.
It's my big wish for the end of the year to launch a privacy information center around Data Protection Day next year, which is not only good in content, but also visually appealing video, or basically something like the airline safety instruction videos. You have very boring ones,
Southwest Airline,
but you also have the very funny ones like British Airways doing Love Actually or Air New Zealand doing The Hobbit. Something like that.
Something it has to be, which by the way, I don't know if y'all two caught, well, I know Paul did. I think you saw it this morning. My newest endeavor that I swear is going to happen.
What's that?
Privacies. And we're going to have a privacy conference on a cruise ship.
Oh, I'm in.
Everybody has to pay for their own cruise. Fine. And there's a fee for the CLEs, but I'm thinking 3 active hours a day at seas. So a 7-day cruise, 5 times 3, 15 CLEs for the week. There you go. Privacies.
I don't need,
and cybersecurity.
I don't need CLEs, so I'm just going to go on the cruise.
Or CPEs.
CPEs. I'm just going to go on the cruise. But my friend Coben, who's now actually at the IAPP doing like a director of DC gig, he and his husband go on cruises all the time. And I've always been a little bit scared, especially since the COVID cruises where people were just like stuck at sea. But they have so much fun and they send me these pictures from all these different islands. And I'm like, why am I not doing that? I think I have to do it. It's my new endeavor. Yeah. So if I can combine, maybe I can expense it if I combine it with work, but still.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do a recording of the podcast with all the amazing people that we have on board.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Oh, actually, that's an interesting question. How many do you ever do like a group, or do y'all usually stick to one guest or maybe two?
The biggest group I did was when the first time Paul had to be off during a podcast. So I did an open mic and I took as many people as wanted to come on. So I think there was 9.
Oh, cool.
Something like that. It was it was horrible in editing, I guess.
It was horrible, but I have to say it was kind of smooth because we didn't have time to get into discussion of anything. I went around the room and asked them, what was your biggest point in privacy? And each explained it. And that was basically all of our time.
Yeah.
But usually we stick to one guest, sometimes two.
Yeah.
We've done a few with 3 guests, but most of the time it's 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And we do all of our own editing and everything.
Oh, I did too, and I never want that again in my life. It just took so long. And yeah, if you had multiple, I finally used a program where I'm sure this does, where I could get the separate audio tracks from separate.
Yeah, we do that.
You just adjust the volume in one. But I used to have another program where I couldn't do that. And adjusting the volume, I would literally have to go after each question and then readjust the speaker. Like if the interviewee was a softer speaker than the interviewer, it's all of that, like very tight, like trying to tweak. And it takes so long, painstaking detail. And I respect you that you do the editing because it's not fun.
The best thing is that we have a program that actually levels out the volumes automatically and everything. It does that because, as you can imagine, when I bust out laughing, there's a little bit of a difference in volume.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when we overtalk each other and we can hear it, it's understandable. But I adjust a little bit for that as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I do the rough cut and Kay does the final details.
Ugh, I don't know what I'd like. I hate both of those. I really can't emphasize enough. I mean, at least you have each other. I was, it was just too much work. I love the interview part, of course. That's the fun part. But yeah.
What we did add to our FAQs is that if your mic messes up and you have a lot of clicks through it or there's a problem on your end, we reserve the right to not use your episode.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Because I went through painstakingly and removed probably 300 clicks from some interview the first season. And I told Paul, I said, never, ever again.
No.
Not happening.
Somebody with a headset banging against their
kept clicking.
shirt or something.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's such a bummer.
Not no, but heck no.
Yeah.
So it is. But on that, I guess, Paul, that we have reached the end of people's 30-minute walking time.
We have reached more than that, but that's fine. We will go back to our regular length of around 35 minutes soon. Last week's episode was exceptionally long because it was our 100th. This is episode 101. So thank you, Angelique, for being our guest today. We look forward to welcome you back as our competition in the podcast family.
I made no commitments. We don't know what's happening with the podcast.
Any day.
And I'm
any
still
day.
drinking.
I mean, maybe in 6 months, maybe 2 years, but someday you'll be back, I'm pretty sure. So on that note, thank you for joining us. Thank you to all our listeners for being with us again. If you like the episodes, please rate and review us in your favorite podcast app or on your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, I want good reviews for this one. I want good reviews.
That's right. Yes.
Absolutely. Should you have any questions or suggestions, please reach out to us via seriousprivacy@trustart.com or info@seriousprivacy.eu or via Twitter at podcastprivacy. You will find us on LinkedIn. Just look for Serious Privacy. You will find Kay on Twitter as Heart of Privacy and myself as Hero Paul B. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
That was Serious Privacy.
If you're a data protection or privacy professional, you already know the pressure. Non-stop regulatory change, AI oversight, internal demands, and the expectation to somehow stay ahead of it all. And the old patchwork of tools just isn't cutting it anymore.
No. That's why TrustArc created a modern privacy management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. The TrustArc platform brings your workflows, evidence, research, tasks, and applications all together in one unified and intelligent workspace so you don't waste time digging, clicking, or context switching.
With Ask Arc, your privacy assistant, you can ask plain language questions about laws, jurisdictions, or even your own program data and get credible, cited answers based on NIMBY research and more than 1,000 global laws. It's explainable, transparent, and purpose-built for data protection and privacy.
So if you need to add a vendor, create a cookie banner, or start an assessment, quick actions take formally complex tasks, turn them into bite-sized guided workflows, to save you time.
It's a platform that thinks like you, works like you, and helps you move faster with confidence, whether you're a seasoned DPO or you're just getting started.
See how modern privacy gets done. Explore ARC at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.